Good evening. Ugh. It's live, isn't it? Good evening, everyone. Hope we're all well. I'm not on here on my own tonight. I'm going to be joined by team manager Gary Flint, who will come up now. Any minute now. Here he comes. Hello there, Flinty. How's it going?
I'm all right,
Made an arse of
yourself?
that. It's live. I'm good. It's good to see you. Not seen each other for a wee while after a wee break at the weekend.
I mean, a week's a long time in Greg Land, isn't it?
It is a hell of a long time. We've also got George Dodds on tonight as well, who should appear now.
Good
Look at
evening,
that.
Tim. Good evening.
And how are you doing, George? You all right?
As if by magic. Not too bad. Not too bad. Are you?
Yeah, all good, all good. And we've also got Marty Clyde in as well tonight, who should just appear like that. There you go. Marty's in.
Evening, everybody.
Are you all well, are you?
Yes, not so bad, thank you. Yes, surviving.
Good. And we don't have James tonight because he's no well, but we have Paul Capaldi. Yes! And he's frozen a bit. Oh no, he's there.
There you go. I'm just rearranging everybody so that we're in the right order. How's that? Nearly
All
there.
good.
I'm just gonna. Yes. Good evening, everybody. Greg, I know you've got plenty of questions for Flint and Gary and Marty and George to cover. So take it away, pal.
Yeah, so start off for yourself, Gary. Bit of a disaster where Saturday night being cancelled against Redcar, but looking forward to the next meeting coming up Saturday with the Bullets.
I am, as always. I look forward to them all. Really, I think in hindsight, last night with a few of the boys being ill and us having to cancel, we would have ended up cancelling it anyway because it absolutely tipped it down.
Yeah.
In Berwick last night, so we were quite fortunate, and the boys being ill, as crazy as that sounds, we didn't have a stadium full of folk before it started raining. So, but no, going on to Saturday, Milton Hall, it'll be another tough night for the Bullets. It was pretty close when we raced them last year, but I'm sure you boys will be keen and they'll do enough and send me home a happy lad again.
No, I hope so anyway, because we'll love to see you happy.
Well, it's luckily we had a double header against Leicester, or it would have been a while since I was smiling up Berwick anyway.
Well, that's true. I mean, how are you feeling with everything going on at Berwick? I mean, are we looking like we're going to have Jai back anytime soon? We see he was riding at Bellevue last Monday.
Yeah, well, obviously we haven't got another meeting now till the 25th, I think it is, the Scunthorpe match. So that's only going to help him and help us. He's riding again tomorrow for Bellevue at Bellevue. So he's doing all right. He's a bit stiff and sore. He's got like a bit of a knot in his neck that he's been getting treated all this week. So come the 25th, hopefully he'll be back in at full fitness and banging in the points that he was before he got injured.
Aye, because that was a major issue that night against Redcar when he crashed. That was just, the meeting was lost straight away there. I mean, I know the boys were still firing and went out and done well, but to lose Jai was an absolute disaster. And same with Ty. How's it looking with Ty? Is his shoulder getting better?
I think it's going to be a bit more terminal with Ty.
Right.
He's doing all right one day, and the next day, because it's nerve damage, it's a tricky one to come across. I don't think there's any specific treatment for it. He is seeing his specialist, and he goes to see a Chinese doctor as well for acupuncture and things like that. But there's no time frame for that at the moment, which is a bit of a sickness. But if we can go into the meetings with our top five like we were at the start of the season, then that's more than enough, I feel, to do what we need to do. It's on the road where we need to start hitting some points now. We've got some big crucial matches coming up, a couple of busy months, and hopefully by August we'll have clawed back the 9 points that we've lost at home.
Absolutely. And to see the way Bomber and Leon, the pair of them at the minute, the way they're going, you must be proud team manager to see that, and also proud dad, the way that Leon's come back after that injury. He's doing superb.
He is. He's keen. He's spending a bit of time in the workshop and making sure things are right. He's super focused. He just wants to get on his bike and ride it, doesn't he? So that's cool for me in both aspects, as his dad and his team manager, and Bomber going out and doing what he does. That's needs to set an inspiration to the rest of the boys, really. It's when your number one's going out and doing that and fighting, and not just your number one but your captain as well, you can see that's rubbing off on Leon. And if we can get the rest of the boys in the right frame of mind and doing what we know they can do, then I have no fears that we should start picking up points on the road.
No, absolutely. And anybody else want to chuck in?
I was just going to ask, Gary, to that end, when you're saying obviously you're looking to get some points on the road, is there anywhere in particular where you think, we should be going there with that, or is it just a case of everywhere and just see what happens?
Oh, that's it. I think everyone's beatable. I think you only need look what's happened to us. We've had one rider not having an off night, just not having him really, and we've been beaten at home by Redcar by 3 points and Glasgow by I think it was 8 in the end, and obviously the same at Leicester, and that the Leicester result shouldn't have been what it was because Bomber was past Nick. We've seen video footage like you guys probably have as well. That was probably the wrong decision there, but I think we've got guys that excel at all tracks that we go to. So obviously there's Birmingham, there's Scunthorpe. We usually perform pretty well at Redcar. And we've never been far away at Leicester either, but they're riding in a rich vein of form, and if we can catch Poole on an off night again, then Leicester went there and done it. So there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot to get stuck in and about, and the boys are all saying that they want to make the playoffs, and I can do all I can with the program, but ultimately it's up to them to show the fight and the spirit and knuckle down and go balls out, basically, to make sure they're there.
Yeah. I don't know what Greg's up to. I hope he's okay. George, have you got a question for Gary?
How are we doing on the rearrangements?
As is all the questions you sent me an email about today. I'm currently chatting with
That's the
Redcar
ones,
at the moment.
Get the program ready as well at the same time.
To get a date. Obviously, we've got July the 16th. We haven't got a meeting.
I suppose one of the problems is you gave the fans such a full.
Yeah, I mean, I stacked the fixture.
Yeah, I think
list
you gave the fans such a full fixture list at the start of the season. It's actually quite difficult to find any space for rearrangements, isn't it?
Well, there is. I mean, there's not really any I can push back. With it being the cup, we need to try and get it in pretty sharpish. Obviously, we've got the Bullets on Sunday. It's too short a notice to change that. We've got Scunthorpe on BSN. And then we've got, I can't remember who we've got the first week of July now. I seem to think, is that the Plymouth doubleheader, the first weekend in July?
Yes,
no.
Yes, and then Birmingham away, isn't it?
Is it not Plymouth the beginning of August?
Oh, you're right.
Oh,
I can't remember who we've got.
Yes, August, yeah.
We've got Poole the 9th of July.
That's right.
I think it is. I don't know who's there the week before. That's terrible. Not one of us can
I think it's
remember.
Leicester again, and Leicester in the cup.
Ah, that's right. Yeah, we've got the League Riders Championships on the 2nd of July. So that day.
I have got the fixture. I knew I had it somewhere here. There's the fixture list. I knew I had one here somewhere.
So,
come on, Greg, keep us right.
Yes. So we have this one away, the 25th. So we've got obviously Saturday coming up. We've got Bullets against Belden Hall, and then it's the 25th Bandits against Scunthorpe. It's Leicester in the, it's the Bullets at home with the Leicester in the Knockout Cup, and then away. Oh yeah, and then Poole at home on the 8th of July and August. Yeah, you're right about Plymouth. That's not till August.
Yeah,
I'm gonna show that up.
Aye, so we the 16th the first date, but at the same time we'd be missing Leon on that date because he's in the European under-19 pace. So it's tricky. It's super tricky. And then we've also the long tracks are starting as well. So we just need to get a date sorted. More than likely, probably going to be July the 16th, I think, and get that cup tie won and out the way. And then obviously August is a bit of a tricky month as well because we've got the GP, we've got the GP Challenge. We lose 2 Saturdays and probably prime time August, so it's not great really. Hopefully no more cancellations. We can run on the 16th.
And just to touch on the cup, Gary, just briefly there, I've seen a video from the Red Car promotion from them winning at Newcastle the other Sunday. And the way that they were speaking, it was a done and dusted tie, and it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to be in the next round. I don't know. Did you see that at all? Or?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
They seem to be of the opinion that having won at Berwick, that it was a foregone conclusion. I don't know what you feel about that.
It's just a bit arrogant, really, isn't it? I think they beat us the last 3 years, I think, and every time, I think it's even been Jai. Jai's got injured in the first race, and we've been using rider replacement. So they've beaten a 5-man team. They seem to forget when we went there last year, and we would have beat them on their own patch if Leon hadn't had that mishap on the last corner. So they can think that if they want. There'll be guys sick when they come. If they come on the 16th and we send them home with fuck all, basically.
That's what we like to hear.
Yes!
So, no, like, we're keen to put a cup run together. It's been a long time since we've had any success in the cup, so it's the boys want more meetings, and the only way they're going to get more meetings is by going and winning these matches. So, and I do believe that had we had Jai in the form that he was in for them 3 matches that we lost, then I think you'd have found out that we'd have probably won them by 10 or more, I reckon.
Mm-hmm. I've got a question for Gary, and it's going back to last season, and I'm a bit puzzled as to why it was that Leon is going like the absolute clappers with the Bullets, and then because he signs for Wolves, because he's going up to ride for them, he has to then drop out of the Bullets team. And yet later on in the season, we're seeing likes of Kyle riding, doing guest bookings in the Premiership. It seems a bit unfair on Leon that he has to drop out of the the development league. I mean, it's he was just tearing the place up, wasn't he?
He was, and that was a rule that we spoke about this winter. I think it was mainly to stop the Ellis Perks situation of the year before, when he was riding in all 3 leagues, and he was like a 5-point man in the Premiership and nearly a 7-point man in the Championship, and it was to stop situations like that happening, because Leon could have rode in the National League this year, because we changed the rule with there being more teams. So yeah, it was just to stop that. To be honest, I think if you're already doing 2 leagues, a third league's probably too much, and because he would have had a National League average this year, we could have used him if we wanted to. So, yeah, I know it's probably harsh on the team that rule kind of takes a rider out the team, but I think it is the right rule. I do agree with it. Yeah, Gaston's obviously totally different, isn't it? Like, I think if you signed and you're in that team or that squad, then it's obviously different to if you're just doing a meeting here or there. So it's yeah, I do agree with it, but yeah, sometimes it always backfires on a club, usually us. So.
Okay. No, I was just wondering from Greg, from your point of view, you know, there had to be, I think, was it Luke Crang that came in, you know, and you know, it's great what he's done, but is it also slightly tinged with, you know, we could have possibly have got those extra couple of points that would have given us the title had Leon been in the team?
I don't know if that would have. I don't know if that would have happened after what happened at Milton Hall. Speedway is pretty much, you know, you never know what's round the corner. And with that crash that happened with Ben, that was the league lost there. If we Milton Hall was going to be a tough team that away match anyway. To be honest with you, we never won the league, but the memories that we had for that year, and especially just that away meeting at Kent, I think that will live with everybody for a long time. Because it was just one of them meetings where we shouldn't have been riding it at all. It was unbelievable. I've never taken my goggles off in a race before, and it was every race I was out in, it was just goggles off because you couldn't see a thing. And as long as you stayed on the bike, you would be fine. You'd score points. It was a great night. It was brilliant fun. But no, it's just one of them ifs and buts. Who knows?
I tell you what, I was going to ask you, Gary, as well, was the different challenges from managing the Bandits to the Bullets, because obviously they're at sort of different positions in the league and such like. Obviously, the Bullets it's a different, you know, you're talking about rider progression, whereas the Bandits, it's more, you're obviously looking for results based. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good that the Bullets do so well, but it must bring different challenges to you.
Oh, it does, and the rules are different in both leagues as well. You know, there's no tax subs in the National League, so it's a lot more relaxed. I think, you know, let's say the Championship, they're the hired guns, they're the boys, and they're the ones that are getting paid decent money to go and entertain the fans and get the job done. Where, you know, the Bullets is all about the development, but at the same time, I've had my moments with them boys as well. You know, they're quite infectious. They want to win that much. It does rub off on me and find myself getting a bit heated sometimes, but it is, I find it quite relaxing and very enjoying with the Bullets. But I get no bit stressed with the Bandits, so...
it's a different environment again because it's a lot more relaxed.
That's it, totally. And you know, like I say, it's all about the development. It really is. But at the same time, we do get pretty serious, and you know, like I say, them boys have been that infectious, and their will to win does rub off on me. So there is times where you know, you've got to have a word and say, right, boys, you've got to go and do this, you know.
Yeah.
Where I don't know if that's become this year especially. You know, last year was super easy. It was there was no stress. It was all great fun, and if they won, they won. If they lost, they lost. But you know, seeing how keen they were to win and how gutted they were when we didn't, we're obviously pretty keen on putting that right this year and going all the way. So it does change my mindset sometimes, but mostly I would say I'm pretty relaxed in the way that I approach my my managing with the Bullets.
See, when you say that about the... Oh, sorry, Marty.
No,
you go.
back on. I was just going to say about when we had Leon on the other week, and we're asking him about the sort of differences between, obviously, on one hand, he's got his dad beside him in the pits, and then on the other hand, it's his team manager. But he seemed to say that basically it was quite easy to differentiate between the two. Like,
yeah, I think 2019 was difficult, especially at the start. I think, or more difficult for him than me. Like, you know, it was always said, you know, come 6 o'clock on a Saturday night, I was his team manager. I wasn't his dad, but there was times where he had to come to me and ask me advice or just want to chat to me if things weren't going quite right for him. But, you know, it's probably harder for him to, or was probably harder for him to get his head around that I was there for another 6 guys as well.
yeah.
So yeah, but now it's super easy, you know. That like I find it no different to any other boy, and like after the meeting, I'll always send him a text, and if he's had a good one, say well done, and tell him how proud I am, and then if he's had a bad one.
Greg, you had a funny anecdote about that when Liam was out when Gary was watching him.
Yes, we hear that quite a lot, don't we?
Aye, and it's totally right. Yeah, it's a bit of an in joke with me and Leon, and yeah, he is my laddie when he's in front, and when he's at the back, he's definitely Sarah's.
Thing I was going to say to you now, Gary, was what like for I know what it's like for me on a rider's point of view in the Bullets team, but what's it like for yourself as a team manager to have Kevin Little in, like Coach Kev? Because it's not like there's not a lot of teams in the league that have a man like that there. And what's that like for yourself to have?
Oh, it's cool. It's super easy for me because obviously Kevin's Kevin, and he's been there and done that, and that does just probably make the whole thing a lot more relaxing for me, and I can just concentrate on the program because I know he's doing what he does. Obviously, when we travel to meetings, especially away meetings together, and we do speak a lot on the phone through the week, so we know what we need to target and what we need to speak to you boys about. So when we do get to meeting time, it's I know that Kevin's doing that, and I can just get on with the program and slap a few bums and tell you to get on with it, you know. So it's cool, and you know, no different to the Bandits either. Really, having Scott and Jamie about, you know, he does the same with you guys. There's always somebody there. There's always somebody there to go and talk to or to bounce things off. It's one thing we've always had as a club, and it's one thing we'll always carry on to have as a club. So
it's the funny thing is sometimes you get told. Oh yeah, go on, George. When you go.
Just to Gary, really, it's very noticeable, I think, when other clubs come, whereas Berwick are a club with 2 Speedway teams. Other clubs, you've got the first team, second team, completely different management, completely different approach. There's not the integration. Is that deliberate at Berwick? That everybody should feel part of the club.
Yeah, like you know, we are a club. We're not the Bandits. We're not the Bullets. We're Berwick Speedway, and you know, it's something we've worked hard on since Courtney's took over. Really, you know, we all have the same vision. We all have the same goals. We all know what each other's doing on the race night. So in that respect, it makes things super easy. But yeah, we are a club. I remember it might have been the first practice. It was Ricky Wells said to me, "Can I just jump the queue and go out?" And I was like, "No." It was like, I ride for the Bandits. I was like, I couldn't care. We're Berwick Speedway. You know, there's no Bandits, there's no Bullets. We're all one club, and you know that goes as far as when we're at double headers and stuff. The club, we go for track walk when we're having our team talks before the meetings, the double headers. You know, we're all part of it, and I think that's really important for myself, Scott, Jamie, and Stevie more than anything else. So we love what we've created. We think it's cool, and if anybody else doesn't like it, then they can go and themselves.
Aye.
For me. So I think it's a pretty unique thing. I think it's maybe, I don't know, maybe come from my rugby background. But yeah, if we're all one club and we're all striving for the same goal, then I feel that's when the magic will happen. And I don't think we're very far away from it where we're at now. So
That's a very
That's a
interesting
very
point.
good club, innit?
You mentioned the rugby background.
yeah,
Did you used to play rugby?
some could say I used to play
Yeah.
rugby. Some could say
Between sin biddings, certainly.
I
Is that what-
often had a 10-minute rest, but yeah, I think you were there, George, weren't you, against Duns when
Yep. You got there as
took
quick
one-
as you could, but the referee decided it was late.
I took one for the team. You know, I'm a team player, so I'm
Wow.
always thankful for the 10 minutes rest.
No, my Uncle Bernard back 50 years ago played for the Barbarians, but my cousin Sam Underhill is number 7 for England, so rugby
Right.
is very much part of the Capaldi family.
Yeah.
But you know, as you say, there's a lot of discipline involved in rugby, isn't there? You know, and so you saying to Ricky, no, you can't go out. It's good on you.
That's it. Like, you know, we're one club. Like I say, we're all striving for the same thing, and that's ultimately success. And I think it was probably more difficult this year because we had a completely different change team. But it was something that the boys cottoned on to early on, and they're all part of that as well now. So
Yeah.
it's
I'm
good.
just going to remove myself for a wee while because in order to sort out the dog, I've put them both in the back of the car. So I'm going to go check on them. Gary, I don't know if you remember the first time I spoke to you was near the scoreboard with my collie dog.
Right.
And I don't know if you remember me, but next time I won't wear this shirt. I'll wear my other one because
Right.
Greg particularly likes the other one.
Is that the one you had on at the last meeting?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of jazzy.
You'll no be missed. That is for sure.
Scott Nichols, you might have a fast bike, but I've got a louder shirt. I just wanted to ask you a quick question though. For me, and the risk of being burnt at the stake for being a heretic, dare I say, I enjoy Bullets meetings more than Bandits. In fact, my favourite meeting last year was Berwick versus the Bandits versus the Bullets when you had the two mixed teams. I thought that was absolutely fantastic and a blueprint for going forward. And I've asked Greg this question, and obviously having you here, a great opportunity to ask. Now, Greg has obviously ridden for the Bandits, and Luke Crane, and obviously Kyle. Who's going to be the next out of the Bullets to progress up? And Greg's answer was all 4 of them.
Well, it's not a bad shout. Not a bad shout. I think
Putting them on the spot there, Paul.
Well, I'm gonna leave, and I've thrown the bomb, and now I'm gonna go and check on my dogs, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes.
the obvious political answer there is we'll have to see what the team points limit and stuff like that is, won't we? So we can't make any decisions on next year until we go to the AGM. But look, the blueprint's there. You know, it's there for the Bullets boys to, let's say, following Leon's footsteps. Let's see what happens. You know, there could be any one of 3 really at the moment, going on how Ace has been going, how Greg's been going, and Luke as well. Luke's kind of finding his stride again. So who knows? We'll see. We'll see what we're up against come the AGM, and hopefully, there'll certainly be at least one of them in there anyway.
So,
Do
as
clubs
regarding
have to start? I'm sorry, Gary. Sorry, Marty. Do clubs need to be a little bit more upfront, and rather than look to Denmark and New Zealand and weird places, should they now be looking at the NDL, Gary? Certainly for your sevens.
Yeah, I think so. I think whilst the Rising Stars idea was a half decent idea, I just think it was rushed in too soon. I think the way we had to build teams and stuff like that, the league was far too strong to put some of them boys in, and that's still no different now. I think when you look at what some of the, let's say, experienced reserves are doing, like John Jenkins, he's a top boy in the National League. He has his moments in the Championship, but he isn't a steady performer yet. Obviously, Jason Edwards is going great guns at the moment. Who else is there? We've got Kyle. Kyle has his moments, but at the same time, he also struggles a bit. So when we're looking at that, we need to kind of balance the teams a little bit more, let's say. And while we're in the position we're in with the likes of needing visas for Europeans now, and let's say a shortage, then we need to be helping some of the boys that are on the wave of the step to actually make that step. And how we do it, I don't have that answer right now, but we'll certainly be looking at stuff over the winter to maybe push that on a little bit more.
Are other clubs receptive to this, or do you feel sometimes you're banging your own drum and nobody's really playing along?
Yeah, I think there's a few. You just need to look at the National League now. How many teams are doubling up? I think there's only Milton Hall and Kent now, isn't it, standalone?
Yeah.
So there is the interest there, but at the same time, we still need to be able to sell the product, and they call it watering it down. I don't think it is really watering it down all that much. You just need to look at the format a little bit, I think, to even out the races, maybe. Like, I don't know, maybe look at what the format they done when they put the graded riders into the top league a few years ago. But then what that does is gives you a false average for that rider and probably land them without a team spot the next year. So there is a few things there that we could maybe do to encourage the next crop. But we do have to do some things, I would say, with the format to help them and not just send them into the ground, really. I think, there's been a few boys fired in far too early and they've gone now. So we certainly can't do that to them, that is for sure.
And to that end, Gary, like obviously at Berwick, we've got Kyle for the Bandits and he's riding for the Bullets. Is he somebody that's ultimately really benefiting from being able to ride? If he didn't have the Bullets, would it be purely a case that it would be too much for the lad riding for the Bandits at that level?
I think, Speedway is a big confidence game, isn't it? Like when you're riding high, it almost feels like it's easy. So this little lull that Kyle's been in lately, I think it would have just shattered him. You've got to be pretty strong mentally to pull yourself out that without having something else where you can go and bang in some big scores. So it's a tricky one. You would definitely need to have a good mental mind to to be able to come back from it. I reckon to if you just had that one league in the championship.
Yeah. So like at his stage, he needs racing at both
For sure,
levels
I think,
to get time on the bike, etc.
yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, Greg will probably tell you, I've mentioned it to him a few times this year. Like last year, he was on the bike a lot. He was practicing week after week after week, and that showed when it come to his racing. So the bike time's a massive part of it, and obviously Kyle knowing that he's going out and scoring 14 and 15 at Berwick in a National League meeting, then that should, in theory, transfer into the championship when he's racing against the other number ones, really.
Yeah, because a funny thing that Leon said the other week was when he first started, was it 2019 he was in the Bandits first?
Yeah.
And he said he was coming up to the tapes and he said, I would be sitting there and I'd be thinking, oh, that's such and such there and such there. He says, but now I'm of the mindset that it's another 3 guys and I'm out there to beat everybody.
Well, that's it. That's, you're a racer. Everyone should have that mindset. And it's easier said than done, for sure. But, once you take the scalps of a couple of the top boys, then why shouldn't you feel like you can go out and win every race? I think, we say it to the boys all the time. I think around Berwick, they'll beat anybody on any given night. Any of the 7 bullets, I feel, can go out and make a start and beat anybody. So if we can instill that into them, that we believe in them, they should believe in themselves, then that's all the better, and it's only going to prove, and give them race wins, I think. So it's a great mindset to have. Greg will probably tell you how easy it is to knock that into your brain or not. I don't know, but I feel every time them boys go to the tapes, they should definitely believe that they're going to win it.
That's when you say that, I mean, they call it the imposter syndrome now, and I hadn't heard of that term before until I came back to Speedway again. And I do understand it. When I was last time round, when I rode for the Bandits back in 2009, I would go up to the tapes and I was beaten before I went out, because I would look at if I was the reserve out with the 2 5s and other reserve, if I was last in the reserve race and the reserve I was up against, other number 7, had won the reserves race, I was thinking to myself, oh, well, I'm done already, and that would ruin my night. Whereas now, I know that meeting that I got the RR ride, who were we against? Glasgow. And I was bouncing at it. I was like, here we go, because I was excited to get out on the bike, and I didn't care if I was out beside Carl. I was out with Chris Harris, Cookie, and it was Brock Nickel. I didn't care. I just wanted to go out and have a shot, and I made a start. I got absolutely caked, filled in, and then I ended up my arse. But I keep trying to tell some of the younger boys that, without sounding too harsh, but if they have a bad ride, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. What are you going to do? Like, really, what can you do if you've had a bad ride? If you sit and mope about it, that's your night totally ruined. You've just got to forget about it. And I know it's hard it's easier said than done. It's just go out and try and, beat yourself. Go out and just, like, even if you're at the back, have a good ride at the back. Put in a good 4 laps and then move that on for something else. So it's a big mental game. And I think just more track time, and Kyle against that meeting against Glasgow, when we went round the boards and he was passing riders. Yeah. He was still miserable though, because he's coming in and he's beating these riders and he's still got his lip out. He's a nightmare. I love him a bit, but by Christ, try to get a smile on his face during the meeting is a nightmare.
Do we forget sometimes though that he's been around for so long that he is actually still only 20? You sometimes feel that he's cupping criticism as if he's a 30-year-old who's still number 7, whereas actually he's a 20-year-old who's number 7.
Yeah, and I think as well as, like, these youngsters that have had such a what's the word, like, such a good youth in the race, and like Kyle was world champion, and this and that and the other, and they get bigged up and bigged up and bigged up. It's a lot of pressure on a young kid's shoulders. I think, when Leon was younger, we made a very big conscious effort to keep him under the radar. We didn't want him, bigged up to be this or bigged up to be that. He won British championships at every level that he rode at. And then come 2018, I was like, right, dude, now's your time to go and show them all what you're about. And like, he just seemed to come out of nowhere because we worked so hard on making sure he wasn't built to be the next this or the next that. And, it's no fault of any kid that's having that. It's the media and the people that write the stuff, but there's so much pressure comes onto them. Like Drew Kemp's another one, you need to be so mentally strong to be able to deal with having a bad night when you're being picked up so much all the time. It's not cool for them, really. And I think
I remember seeing that happen with Joe Haynes as well. When Joe Haynes was doing it, he was coming up, and Joe was a great rider, but he had so much like pressure put on him because he's going to be the next best thing, this, that, and everyone else, and all eyes were on him. If he was going out, he was going to tapes with 3 other riders. Everybody was watching him, and if he missed a start or slid off or just run it last, it wasn't talking about the guy that won. They were talking about the fact that Joe Haynes was last, and that kind of thing. In a teenager, it's going to get into your head, and it's bloody difficult.
That's it. It's a struggle for some of them, and like I say, you've got to be pretty mentally strong to pull yourself out of that. And it's one thing that I've always said to you boys: if you go out and you come last trying, then what have you got to be sad about? Like, sometimes you will just get beat by somebody that's a little bit better in that one race, but you generally always in 5 minutes time, you're going to have the chance to go and put that right again. So you can't turn the clock back. It's all right saying, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. Like you, prime example, against Leicester, when the Thompson boy passed you, I've never seen you ride around that third and fourth bend so tight. And then you come in, I should have done this, I should have done that. And it's, but you didn't. But next time you will. You know what I mean? So there's no point in being upset or pissed off.
Wait a minute, Gary. Last Saturday night he was retiring after the meeting. He says, "That's it. The bikes are going up for sale."
I could quite believe it as well. I could quite believe it, but you've always got the chance to go and put it right, whether it be in your next heat or in your next meeting or when you face that person again. If you go out and you ride your bollocks off and you come last, who cares?
Exactly.
Who cares?
Exactly that.
Like, and me as a team manager, I'll never have a word to say if you go out there and you try. That's all we ask. And like I say, if you get beat and you've been riding your bollocks off, then cool. You've just been beaten by a better rider in that race.
And you can't win them all.
Do you not think this year we've been treated to some absolutely fantastic speedway?
Unreal. I wish I was a fan. Because it's good when it's the Berwick boys passing or the Berwick boys in front, which it generally was to start with. It was actually good to watch. But I did say to Jamie halfway through the Leicester match, why do we even like Speedway?
If you want to be a fan, you have to get a louder shirt than that, pal. I wanted to take you back though, Gary, because we normally do this with the riders, and forgive me for not asking you these sort of questions earlier. Your sort of first introductions into Speedway. How did you first get on into Speedway, and in particular, who were your favourite riders?
Oh, Jesus, you're going back now. So my dad was pally with Peter Waite and used to mechanic for Peter Waite when he rode.
Wow.
And wow, exactly. And then we started going out to Barrington. He used to take me and my two brothers and one of his pals and his two kids. And my early memories are of Charlie McKenna. He was my. I always remember him being my first favourite rider.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I remember 89 quite well and 91. We used to go all over in 91. I remember we went to Cradley Heath and got absolutely pumped. And every time Cradley got a 5-1, they played that tune that was like that silly, stupid laugh. And they shouted "Wipeout" at the end. And every time I hear it now, it still triggers me. Like, honestly, it's the most annoying thing ever. And I heard it quite a lot that night. But we used to get in the back of my dad had a Cortina and then a Montego estate.
Wow.
We used to put the seats down with a mattress in there, and me and my two brothers would get carted around the country to watch Speedway and sleep on the mattress on the way home. What a great time.
It's a great upbringing, isn't it? It's an absolutely fantastic upbringing.
Unreal. I remember we went to Newcastle and the exhaust of the Cortina at the time, it got a hole in it, and Dad had bought us a can of Coke each, and we thought, what a treat getting a can of Coke at the Speedway. It turns out he just wanted the empty cans to fix the exhaust. But, it's like that. And obviously Granty was obviously pretty entertaining, wasn't he? You knew you were going to get a scrap. And to have ridden with young Rob and become great pals with Father Rob, it's quite surreal actually to be in this position to get to know and work with and work against what were your idols back in the day, you know.
Sure. I mean, I was remember '89. That the chat among the fans then was that we got very close in a few away meetings, and once that team clicks, and they did big time down at Poole, they demolished Poole. Poole had to use Lee Adams as a tack sub because they were 8 points down. That was when you went 8 points down, and in the end, they needed a 5-1 to get a draw. And obviously Walshy and the kid just blitzed them, and that was and you know you look at the team back then. Craig Boyce, Rossiter, Lee Adams. You know,
that's it. Like big names in the sport, and it's crazy to think that that'll be the last time we won the cup, wasn't it?
Yeah.
89.
But I look at that team and I think, you know, that was the night they clicked, and the night before they got hammered at Exeter, and had that been the cup match, we would have been out the cup, but it wasn't the cup match, and we had a huge big party in the hotel at Exeter. I mean, it went till about 3 a.m, and Graham McCleary's brother Martin very kindly woke me up with a pint of water at like 8 o'clock in the morning for breakfast. But they then went to Poole, and it was like everything clicked. And I feel that's the same with this Bandits team. When they click, obviously the Bullets are doing it anyway, but if you know, when the Bandits click, whether it be at home or away, you know, the opposition had better watch out, because
I don't think we're far away from it, to be honest. I think we were well on our way, obviously, before Jai got injured, and then before Leon got injured, and then Ty the following night. It just seemed to be the same old Berwick story of late, isn't it? We get going, we have a good start, and then it all goes to shit. But you know, I think Dick, it was Dick in his latest blog hit the nail on the head. If the fixtures had been reversed, if we had started with Leicester and Glasgow and Redcar, then and then had the teams that we had at the start, whilst we were depleted, I think the results would have obviously gone our way, but it's all ifs and buts, and it's no different. Yeah, we move on, just like we say to the boys. We got beaten. We've got what I think 10 chances to put it right now. So that's what we need to go and do. And like you say, if and when they click, whether that be in the cup or the summer trophy or in the league, then I think there's going to be some big shocks.
I mean, basically, at the moment, would it be fair to say that, okay, Jai is on his way back, but our heat leaders are Bomber, Leon, and Reggie.
Yeah, for sure. I think Ricky has his moments, especially away from home. And the way Theo started the season, I think there's no hiding from the fact that since the boys have got busy, it's probably taken a lot out of Theo, and that's up to us to help him with that. Kind of lighten the load with what he's got to do, so he can concentrate on what he's got to do. But we're a strong team. We are, and I think when the new averages come out, we'll have 3 riders that are nearly on 7-point averages. Well, Bomber will go up to over 9. I don't think Ricky's will move all that much, but Leon's will go up to just under 7. So it shows that the stats don't lie, and it shows that we are going strong. So I think there's it's not over yet, that's for sure. I think the 6th place position is going to be the most interesting.
I'm going to shut up. I'm going to shut up in a minute, but I just wanted to point out that, of course, in an interview that you did with Ollie Allen, you said of Leon, if he can maintain his average being in the main body of the team, but that was never going to be the case. He was always going to be, the spectacular rider that he is. Because some of his overtakes this year have been fantastic, haven't they? They've been, as Calvin would say, out of the top drawer.
They have, and he's obviously done a lot of laps around Berwick, and he knows how to ride it, and his style does suit the Berwick track very, very well. But he's been doing unbelievable, like probably better than I thought he would. And that comment that I made with Ollie Allen was based on Leon had I think we worked it out in the winter. He was doing 5.8 races a meeting. And a lot of them were from reserve. So although even when he went up into the team, he was still scoring and basically being our number one. But he's just carried on that, the progression. It's getting better and better and better every year, which is what we're looking as a family and as a club. So yeah, if he could maintain that average based on him only getting 4 rides a meeting, I think he's had a better year than he did the year before. But he's going and exceeding that. Of course, now the rolling averages are you drop. Obviously, at the start of the season, it was over 20 meetings, and then May was over 18, June was over 16, and we're down to 14 now. So I think he's done 8 meetings for us so far this year. That count towards his average. So there's 8 from this year and 6 from last year when he was going great guns at the end of the season. So yeah, he probably will finish the year if he carries on the way he's going with a higher average, and if he does that, then massive pat on the back to him.
Absolutely.
Pass on.
Question I've got for you, Gary, that I'm wanting to ask, probably on behalf of most of the fans as well, is will there be another Bandits versus Bullets meeting this season, maybe towards the back end of the season?
Possibly. At this present moment in time, I couldn't give you an answer on that based on the fact that we don't know where we're going to lie come playoff time.
Yeah, exactly.
There's obviously National League playoffs this year. We'll be hoping to be there with the Bandits as well, so that that could run well into September, October, and I reckon if we've been running every week like we have the start of the season, we'll all be looking for a break come the end of October. We'll not be looking to stand at Sheffield Park in the dark, freezing my tits off, watching lunatics like you go around in circles.
It's brilliant though. But no, I think that just with that idea that, like, obviously when Newcastle pulled out the National League, during the week that we had them at home,
Yeah.
and hats off to yourselves and the rest of the boys for coming up with something like that. Just the way the format was with the racing, when I got told about it, I was just like, right, I have no idea what's going on with it at all. But then I still had no idea what was going on during the meeting. It was just, you're out now, all right, perfect. But then to watch it back on film, to see it back again, it was a bloody good format, that meeting.
I think the format's got legs. There needs to be a couple of tweaks to the races. I think there was one where towards the end of the meeting where riders had 2 on the trot in the programme, which that could easily be rectified. You just move the heat to a different spot and call it Heat 7 instead of Heat 11 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it has legs. I definitely think if we end up with more teams, which could quite possibly happen if Eastbourne come back and stuff like that, there just isn't enough riders to go around that's going to make it sustainable. So we would definitely have to look at maybe going 6-man teams and going back to what we were on about earlier, pushing somebody up from that middle ground that's almost championship level into the league. That format would work perfect. I think you weren't one of the reserves, were you? So
No.
I think the fact that they met each other so many times and also using effectively the number 5 position as a tactical ride, it keeps things interesting for the team managers. So we did send.
Yeah, it's like you've got more of a job to do, isn't it?
Aye, for sure, and you still get your home track advantage because the away team uses their, let's call it a tactical ride. They use it before you, so you know where you're going to be at, whether you need to chuck a top gun in to claw some points back, or whether you can use one of the lower end riders just to consolidate that lead that you might have. But we did send the format out to a number of people to ask for their feedback. A lot of the traditionalists didn't like it.
Standard there, though, isn't it?
Aye, which is fine. Like, everyone's entitled to an opinion. We just
Yeah.
had the balls to go out and fill a blank date and try it, and
It was brilliant.
it did have legs, I think, and I think it still does have legs. It's just finding the time to do some more with that. Maybe that's something that, because George doesn't do much, he could maybe fiddle about with the format for us. And,
Yeah, I saw that.
and make it better for us to present, rather than me and Jamie driving around Oxford on a Monday morning and thinking, right, let's do this, and then actually doing it on the Saturday.
And I'm just trying to imagine some of the team managers in the championship trying to get their heads around it. They can barely manage to work out who qualifies for Heat 15.
Exactly. It was interesting. No, but it did have legs, and a few guys did comment on that. They thought it had legs, but this is just we don't like 6-man teams. We want 7-man teams. Speedway's this and Speedway's that. And look, we're moving into a new era now, aren't we? With the way the SGPs have gone and stuff like that. Why not?
Time to capitalise on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we need to find our version of the T20 to reinvent the sport, don't we?
Yeah, that's it. And to a certain extent, we've kind of, with the Summer Cup, the way the final is for that, a 3-team tournament, 6-man teams, it's kind of aimed at that T20 kind of thing, but that's only the final.
Yeah.
we need to certainly need to do something to kind of get everyone excited again, something new, something fresh, brand it up properly. We've got BSN now who are doing a great job. Get it fired out on that if you want to, and just try and make it exciting. I think
Put a bit of fire back into it again and get it going.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like you say, it was great fun to be a part of. A little bit of rivalry with myself and Scott. It was good.
It was good fun.
It was, and that kind of rubbed off going into the Sunday at Redcar. If you remember, everyone had a good night on the Saturday, and we went to Redcar on the Sunday and should have won, but didn't. But yeah, I think
Sarah's laddie ruined it.
Sarah's laddie. What a little shite.
I have to say that meeting, like, obviously, because I came in on the Friday at Glasgow and then done the Bullets and Bandits match the Saturday, and then was kept in the team due to Kyle having COVID. And then when I went there to Redcar, I've never experienced anything like it, but when Leon had that crash in Heat 15, I've never actually felt as emotional as I did there when we ran down to see if he was all right, because it was just like it wasn't a gutted thing. It was just more of there was a lot going on, because obviously on that track walk, that was where Aaron told us all that was his last meeting, his last away meeting, which was quite like a wow. It kind of set us up. I almost feel that set us up for that meeting as well. Just the way that when Spud said, "This is the last one, boys," everybody was like, "Oh shit, right, okay." So it gave us something to go out and play for Aaron. But yeah, it was just a brilliant meeting. That whole weekend was fantastic.
It was good, and like the feel that we had last year, although we were struggling, we were up against it from the start. The feel in the camp was still pretty good, but everyone knew everyone because of the year before, not the year before, 2019, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was just struggle street from the word go, to be fair. But I think if we'd won that match, that would have just set off the season, really, wouldn't it?
Aye. And the thing with Berwick, just going back to talking about Berwick, I can't see being at away meetings or clubs coming to us. I don't actually see any other teams having as much fun as what we have. Like the laughing and the joking and then even just afterwards when everyone nips into black and gold for a pint. It's just the feel at Berwick is, you boys know it yourselves. It's everybody all together. It's fantastic at Berwick, isn't it?
That's it. It's just good old fashioned Speedway, I think.
It's like the 90s. It's like I remember running about in a bar when I was a kid, and there's everybody smoking and drinking and seeing just Davy Meldrum sleeping in the corner. It's like that's what it just feels like that again, and I love it. It's just the best thing on the go at the moment.
What was it they said? Win or lose, get on the booze.
That's it.
Exactly that. I think I'd also like to ask another thing, Gary, is you touched on the rugby with the Speedway. Yeah. How's your golfing going?
The golfing was going all right. It was my caddy that I was having some issues with.
And do we know what the story was with the caddy? Is everyone all right?
There's been a few aches and pains this week by both caddy and golfer. Work's been a proper struggle, but being a tough guy that I am, we're bashed on and got there. I don't think many people will be hiring that golf cart again. That's for sure.
Is it on the scrap pile? Because there's not a lot of people I know that have rolled a golf cart playing around the golf.
No, especially off the side of a cliff. If you're ever golfing with my brother and he asks you where to go, then he say chuck a left and down the hill, because he will literally go down the hill.
So did none of your brothers ever have a go at the Speedway for a good job?
No, they never. quite funny, really. Just all through my being pally with Scott that I got into it. We used to go down to the beach on a Sunday when we were 14-year-old and skive the day off of school and ride the bike out of the school field down by the cliffs and away down to the beach. And I remember, you know what it's like as a kid. Everyone wanted to be a Speedway rider if you were a Speedway fan, wouldn't you? You ran around Berwick with a Coke can on your foot and one in your back tyre. And I remember just this one day asking my dad if I could get a Speedway bike, and he was like, "Aye." I was like, "Oh, it's like I'm going to be a Speedway rider." And that was back in the day when they were cheap. I bought this Wesleck off a guy in near Leicester, I think it was. 450 quid the bike was, and it was the year that Rennie Madsen rode for Berwick.
Yeah.
That might have been 98, I think.
It was, aye.
Aye, so he went and picked it up for us and brought it up, and away we went. It took us a while to get the hang of it.
But you mastered it, though.
Oh, it took a while. I mean, I always remember Davy Meldrum saying, "No falls, no balls." I had some big balls for quite a while. But we got there in the end, and it was good fun. I wouldn't change it for the world. I would obviously have liked to have been a bit better, but I wasn't. But
thing is on that side of it, Gary, if you had been a better rider, would there have been more of a chance of you wouldn't have made the memories that you've got now because you maybe would have taken it a bit more serious and you wouldn't have had as much fun?
I'm not sure, because Speedway in them days was pretty raj, like.
That's right enough.
It was pretty. I wouldn't say much different to what you're experiencing now at Berwick. You know, you went to a meeting, you went to the bar afterwards, you had a few pints.
Aye.
Somebody would drive home, and then you'd go and do it all again. I think for all it's a lot more serious now. I think it's a lot more professional. But once I broke my leg, that was it. Like breaking my femur, it just knocked the guts out of us, to be honest. I think I'd had a good year with Sheffield the year before. I'd actually done a deal with Peter to ride for Berwick in that following year, 2004 maybe. 2004, I'd done a deal with Peter to ride that year. Went to Sheffield's pressing practice and snapped my femur. No, it was 2003. It was the year Leon was born.
Wow.
All right.
And, so I'd done the deal with Peter. I was going to be riding for Berwick, for Sheffield in the Conference Trophy, for Stoke in the Conference League, and I was like, wow, looks like I'm going to do it properly. And then one little mistake, and it's all gone.
It happens so easy, though, doesn't it?
It does. I wouldn't change it for the world. Like I say, I made some great friends. Lived a pretty exciting life, pretty wild life for quite a few years, and
still doing that now.
Maybe not. I can't deal with hangovers now, so I tend to stay away from it.
It's just you were chuffed to bits that we never got an away tour this year. I was gutted that when the fixtures came out, the Bullets never got an away tour, but it was good. I remember being a young lad, and it would be maybe 2004. I think was somebody will be able to put me right. It was when Kevin Little rode at Workington, or 2004. I think it was.
2005.
Was it 5? Was that not the year that Redcar started?
No, Redcar was 2006.
Right, because I remember Kev was in the team and Scott was in that team. Sean Tacey and Stoney, and I remember watching Stoney basically getting carried into the back of a van after a meeting and then going out the next day, I think, to Newcastle and getting a maximum. And I just thought that everybody could do that. Stoney was kind of a special breed. I shouldn't have realised that you can't really ride with a hangover, only Stoney could. And you didn't see that nowadays, it doesn't happen.
No, I think back in the day at Workington, though, you hadn't been to Workington unless anybody you got carried out into a van yourself. I've lost some days off my life in Workington, that's for sure. We used to go there on a bank holiday Monday, didn't we?
Yes.
As the Bandits.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever made the work on a Tuesday. I don't think I even made it home on a Monday from Workington. It was always like a lunchtime start. And you'd wake up the Tuesday morning on Craig Brandy's floor, guaranteed. I don't even know why we even tried to pretend that we were ever going to get home. it was never going to happen. But it's a shame Workington, I think when Stoney packed in, that was the end of it for them, to be honest.
Aye,
never had a superstar to, for the town to get behind, really.
You think back to some of them battles at the PLRC with Stoney and Sean Wilson, just abs, and even Peter Carr and Mogo at the time, absolutely brilliant. Speedway knocking bells with each other and just going for it. And didn't quite see it the same nowadays, but it's I think it's just a sign of the times, really.
I think the bikes have just got too fast now, haven't they?
Aye, that's it. Aye,
that's one of the problems. You hear people Speedway isn't the same as it used to be. It is. It is. It's just
we're still turning left for 4 laps.
You watch old world finals and that. The better riders still made the start and cleared off and won. It's I think the tracks are obviously slicker because of the way that the engines are now, but they just go 20 mile an hour faster.
Well, you said it was slick as a new grip.
Aye, that's right. That is right. And we've obviously we run Berwick a bit grippier now. Obviously Glasgow meeting was a bit too extreme for that. But dirt scares the riders now, it does. And it's because the engines are that unpredictable. They rev that hard. And you see that when they're hitting soft patches on slick tracks, the bikes just take off. And the way the engines have evolved, it's not very good for the spectacle, really. You watch this.
Do you think they've become too fast?
Oh, 100%.
In a way,
100%.
As a result of that,
I think they are. I think. I don't know if you watch the Polish Speedway at all, but everyone raves about that, how good it is. But it's only good because you've got the top names there. I don't think the racing's anything special. Obviously, that COVID year, I watched it a fair bit, and it's not what people say it is, I don't think.
I would rather watch a National League meeting.
Well,
to be honest, if I was a paying fan, if I was a paying fan, and I had the choice, you have National Leagues. It's cheaper to get into. You've got, I know you don't. People don't like to see a crash, but we do. Everyone likes to see a big wipeout, as long as everybody gets up, obviously. But you've got a lot more chance of mental crashes, like that one at when we were against Edinburgh when Rothery went trying to pass me around the boards at a million mile an hour. I remember looking over my shoulder and going, "Oh shit!" I knew that. So you've got that. You usually get you get 2 races in the one as well, the National League, and it's a lot more. I think the sport is just a lot more fun in that sense. But I mean, I love the Speedway in general, but I would always say the National League always throws up a bit more entertainment, and it's good fun. Exactly, it's totally unpredictable.
Correct.
When have you ever been to a meeting where you've seen a silencer come off a bike twice? Not only that, from the same rider.
Unreal.
You've got to really think about it, haven't you?
Oh, we were lucky then, really, because if that fired over the fence, jeez, but carnage.
The bullets made hard work of that night.
They knock you off your perch.
I don't think it was that high.
Can I so just butt in with one question, which and I've got one lined up in the chat, but I just wanted to ask you, as the team manager, do you have any say in how the track is prepared? Obviously at the start of the season, the track was really fast. I mean, Kyle, 66.5
Yeah.
in one of his races. I mean, back in the days when the 3 Czechs were riding for us, if we were getting 67.5, that was considered fast,
Yeah.
So for Kyle to be going around in that speed, but like the last couple of meetings, obviously the track conditions have been different, shall we say, and times have been slower. But I just wonder, as a team manager, do you have a say in, I want you to prepare, do you say to Razor, I'd like you to try and prepare the track in a certain way to suit certain riders?
Yeah, of course. We talk about it all the time. But one
Right.
thing that is a big problem at Berwick is the tide dictates how the track can be all the time. If the tide's coming in, you generally find it's going to be a lot wetter and heavier.
Mm-hmm.
If the tide's going out, it takes some moisture with it. So we have a problem that not many tracks do have. And also if we've had a blazing hot sunny day, around 4 o'clock time, the sun disappears behind the grandstand.
Yeah.
And that leaves, say, the home straight, the exit to the fourth bend, the home straight, and the entrance to the first bend. That's all in the shade. So it's almost like trying to prep 2 tracks.
Sure.
Against Glasgow, we did try doing something different, because I think the week before we had lots of dust. So we opened the track up and started watering from Thursday night.
Wow. And
then on race day, it was another hot day, and Razor done everything like he normally would. But because the moisture was already in the base, the water that we was putting on had nowhere to go, and that's what made the track so heavy that night. So, we learned a lot from that. Obviously, there's stuff we can do with regards to that. But if it's a hot, windy day, you can almost guarantee it's going to be dusty. Doesn't matter how much water you put on that track. If it's hot and windy, it just disappears. Like, who did we have before Glasgow? Was that Red Car?
Red Car,
aye. That was a dusty night, wasn't it? Like the amount of water that Razor had put on that track that day, it was like something like 15,000 gallon.
Wow.
And it was still dusty. So he's got the worst job in the world, to be honest. He's never gonna keep everybody happy. But we had a chat with Razor at the start of the season. We told him how we wanted the track, and at the same time, the boys have got to respect Razor's trying to prep that track like that. But there's too many variables for us at Berwick, so he's definitely got the hardest job in the lot, for sure.
Well, himself and yourself, because there's a lot of fans out there that obviously are, to use the term, they're sort of armchair quarterbacks, But and we kind of touched on the problems with Newcastle. I can't believe their fans booing their own riders, but anyway, that's a different thing altogether. There was a question in the chat, and it's this one. Is it going to show up? I think it is. I think it's going to show up.
I've got it there.
Yeah, it's up now.
Yeah. And it would be a question, I suppose, to everybody for everybody's opinion, and I'll leave you to have a look at that.
So the theory in that is Ty Proctor is, on his day, a very, very good speedway rider. I think the meeting that he had before he hurt himself at Newcastle, he ran a last in Heat 1, and then he was unbeaten in his next 3 rides. So that speaks for itself, really. There's
And that was from number 2, wasn't it?
That was from number 2, yep. And then obviously for the Newcastle meeting, he dropped down to reserve, and what happened. We spoke to a lot of riders, we did, and it just isn't easy. Obviously, riders coming over from abroad, there's a lot more into it than just signing a rider now. There's so much work has to go in before you can even offer them a contract with visas and all sorts of stuff. So yes, we had 1 or 2 points to play with. Could we have maybe signed somebody else? I don't think we could have, to be honest. I think Ty was about on the right average that we needed. And I'll back myself when I say I think at that time we signed the right guy. If somebody thinks that there was somebody else available, feel free to hit me up and tell me who that guy was. But I can guarantee you I probably would have spoke to him. And if that person was available, there's a good chance. Then
I think there's the other side of it as well, Gary, is the fact that it's not just the rider for his riding that you sign them for as well.
Yeah,
Ty's a very intelligent man coming to Speedway.
He is.
And he will, even if Ty is having a bad night, what he's got inside his own head to bring out to other riders and say, try this, try that. And the help that he's done with Kyle as well. That showed itself when he's been helping Kyle in the pits as well. It's been so when you're basically the team that Berwick's got for the everyone that's there, when you got Chris Harris, Theo Piper, Ty Proctor, and Ricky Wells, the brain power in there for in Speedway is pretty phenomenal.
It is, and it does count to a lot. Obviously, the Kyle and Ty dynamic works quite well. But he is very vocal as well. He's very knowledgeable. He's great for morale. On the group chat and stuff like that. He's always, when boys have got a guest book in, he's always on. Good luck and this and that and the other. He's a nice lad. I think
Yeah.
It's just one of them. Sometimes, averages are averages. Yeah, we had points left to play with, but now we're actually over the points limit, so it couldn't have been that bad a signing. All right, his has dropped, but at the same time, the start of the season, before we had all the injuries, before he got injured, we were still hammering teams at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Humping teams at home, so he couldn't have been that bad a signing, really. And he was contributing to it. Yeah, that's it. Like, he had a bad night at Edinburgh, and we knew that was going to happen because he's got a major issues with Edinburgh. He broke his neck there, so we knew that before we even went there. But
I think you can forgive him for that.
For sure. And he held his own. He done his job, and I'm sure going forward he still will.
I remember we were talking. We were talking to Ricky, and obviously the question was when he won the Premier League's Riders' Championship, he beat. Who did he beat, Marty?
He beat Darcy Ward.
Yep.
He beat David Howe,
and
he beat Ty Proctor in the final.
Yeah.
That's it. Like Stevie Hughes had worked with Ty when he first come over, when Stevie was mechanic for boys, and there's not many of them Australians that come over in the first year. They ended up at number 1, and that's what Ty done back then in a very strong league. He maybe lost his way a bit in 2021 last year, and he done what he done and had to take a break from it. But he's so enthusiastic. He's infectious. He's knowledgeable, and I think you were there, George, when he sat in the office with us, had a beer after the meeting, and he's just an all-round good guy, and I think he's still has a job to do within the team even when he's injured. So yeah, I'll back that. I think we signed 7 boys that can challenge for the playoffs still, and that comment there potentially it could cost us a place in the playoffs. I think while he was fit, he was riding well and he was doing his job. I think what could potentially cost us a spot in the playoffs is three of our riders getting injured.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah, I think it is a shame that he got injured when he got injured, because I felt particularly at home he'd 8 nailed down pretty much. I think he'd probably had 14 nailed down later on. These are big heats. Dick makes a big thing. There's 5 points available in heats 2, 8 and 14, same as 1, 13 and 15. And you look at teams who are trying to strengthen, you look at teams who are trying to replace reserves, they're not finding anybody apart from guests.
That's it. That is it. And I think is it maybe a flaw in the way that we're allowed to use guests at reserve? Should we, similar to what we have to do in the National League, where you can have a guest for your number 1 or your second highest average. Apart from that, you've got to use an unattached rider. So instead of likes of Leicester using Jason Edwards, who's bang on form, and he's probably won more meetings for other teams than he has for Redcar.
Aye.
He won the meeting for Leicester at Berwick. He won the meeting for Edinburgh at Birmingham. And all right, you could have got rid of Jason's 10 tonight and Leicester would have still won, but banging in 10 plus 5 is a big part of that. So yeah, should we look at that and say that you have to use an unattached National League rider? Maybe. I don't know. I think there's maybe quite a few tactics going with that. All right, it was quite well publicised that Anders didn't want to be at Leicester anymore, and that's no fault of Leicester's. But then you get the same thing with, Plymouth using guests for their number 1 all season. It makes a bit of a mockery of it, like they've done that when other teams that were on the same with Newcastle with Bradley Wilson-Dean. I know there isn't the riders out there to replace them with, but there's probably a little bit of tactics going into doing what they've done in that situation. So, there probably should be a little bit more done to stop the silly things like that happening.
So can I just take ask you a question? I know this might be a daft, simple question, but as team manager, do you get to have any say in any of your team members being approached as a guest?
Yeah, they've got to. The requesting club has to ask your permission,
right,
to use that rider. The same with us. If we want to use, who have we used? Lee Conklin. I've got to ask Newcastle for permission for that.
Right. And would there ever be a circumstance where you would say, well, no, you can't?
Not for us. I don't think we'd ever stop the boys from trying to earn money.
Yeah.
I have come across, I think it was in 2017 when me and Scott were working, or me and Javi even, Newcastle didn't want us to use Stevie Worrell as a guest because he'd just come back from a hand injury, which was fair enough. So, but no, we've never stopped anybody, and that's the only time that we've been asked not to use a rider. So.
No, I like this idea that you were saying about you can't use guests at reserves, and then if we get anybody injured, we can put bullets riders.
Well, that's it, and that's one thing that it's, of course, it's difficult when you're building to a points limit. Obviously, we started with Jai with a 5-point average. It would have probably been a bit harsh for us if he was still at reserve and we could only use the National League rider to replace that. But if we have to go a certain way, which if we get more teams into the league, well, we have to look at using more National League riders in them positions, the lower positions of the team, probably. So should that be something that's looked at then? Possibly. It's definitely something to think about. It's there's obviously going to be pros and cons to it, as there is with everything, but I think it's definitely an idea that can be looked at for sure.
Well, I think you sort of look at Jason Edwards this year. I mean, last year he was all over the place, wasn't he? He was Eastbourne dropped him, Plymouth dropped him, and other clubs could have quite simply taken a guest or somebody else, not given him a team place, and yet he's been given the opportunity, grabbed it with both hands. Okay, probably gets next year as his difficult second year sort of thing, the bump and everything. But that has to be the way. What's the point in having a National League if you're not going to bring riders through?
Totally agree, and I think that's, like I say, definitely something that needs to be looked at in the winter, and it's a great breeding ground. I think Neil Vatcher does a great job with the youths, but I just don't think enough clubs buy into what's going to happen in 3, 4, 5 years' time. We lost a lot of riders this season to retirement. There's a lot of riders that are getting on to the late stages of their careers. Where we getting the next crop from? Nobody knows. And
sorry, I was just going to say that there's still a chance for Greg to pull on the Bandits race bib once more full time.
There's always a chance. We never say never at Berwick, do we, Greg?
No, we don't.
Never say never.
He's not saying much on that one, is he, Greg?
Just have to see how it goes. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're riding good, if I'm riding good enough and I'm ready to go in there and I get asked to do it, then of course I'm going to go in. But if I'm riding shit, then I'm not going to get into that place. So it's
the harsh reality of it.
It's just that's the way it goes.
Yeah, you're going to get banging in the pecking order anyway.
But if you're good enough, you're old enough, and you're young enough, and it doesn't really matter, surely.
Oh, age is just a number, isn't it? Look at Bomber.
Yeah.
Bomber's 40
exactly.
years old. When's he going to stop riding?
Well, look at Theo.
Exactly.
Like Bomber would ride every day of the week.
Yeah.
If he could, for sure. And
he's been nothing short of a revelation since he come in.
But yeah, 40-year-old and flying around doing what he's doing is pretty impressive. When could you ever imagine him stopping?
I know, and at the moment it's you kind of look at the other thing is Nicky Pedersen. I've seen that Nicky Pedersen putting out. It was But Nicky Pedersen today was saying that he's get ready to come back fighting stronger. And Nicky's what, is he 45 years old now? He's just had 2 pretty serious injuries this year, and he's already thinking about how he's going to return to get back on the bike again, which, fair play to him, you have to take your hat off to him for doing that, but bloody hell, he's had a hell of an injuries recently.
It's impressive, isn't it? Like, to be at the top of your
It
game
really is. I mean,
for as long as he has, and to sustain these injuries and still want to come back. I think if I was that age and just smashed my hip and pelvis to bits, I wouldn't be that keen on getting back on a bike for sure.
Not at all. I mean, there's people posting things on online saying, "Oh, it's time that Nicky gives it up," blah blah blah. But he's still bloody good. Like, he's still doing a job. He's still going out there, and he's still scoring points.
The Grand Prix are a poorer place without him.
Oh, definitely.
I think we don't have a pantomime villain at the moment, do we?
No.
No Thomas Sculler.
That's the thing, that there's no massive characters in Speedway.
Nah. No, that's it, and I think that's just due to how professional everything's got now.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't say boo to ghosts without being bloody threatened with a fine.
No.
I liked what Paul Bowen had put on, and it was exactly what I thought was the fact that the riders get fined so much for the fighting and whatever else happens, but then they'll use a montage as a promotional video for the sport.
Aye.
It's like it's absolutely mental.
Crazy.
Just let lads have a bit of a scrap now and again. It makes it a bit more entertaining, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to shake hands at the end of the meeting. But
Well,
you think back. Sorry, I was just going to say, you think back to that double header at Berwick, Edinburgh, Glasgow, 2019 was it?
Yeah.
When Cookie and Jai had a bit of a coming together on turn one and what have you, and the atmosphere for that meeting was just, I've never known Shieldfield Park like it. It was absolutely buzzing.
It was great. It was great, and I think it was weird because for the first meeting we had all the Glasgow fans cheering on us, didn't we?
Yeah.
And the second meeting we had all the Edinburgh fans cheering on us. It was pretty surreal, but what a great night that was! Like,
it was something else.
It was really good. Really
good. Sir, team manager. I realise that time is pushing on. You have been on now for nearly 1 hour and 40 minutes, and I'm sure we could carry on chatting for another few hours. But I wanted to first of all thank you very much for coming on, and I hope that you will come back again sometime soon. I'd already explained to the boys that I hadn't approached likes of senior management and yourself and the Courtneys to come on just yet, because I realised it was busy time of the season, and obviously likes of maybe Ricky and Bomber, if you could put in a good word for us, and maybe they can join later on when it's a bit quieter. But we certainly appreciate you taking the time out to come and join us. Just to say that I got a message just 2 minutes ago from Adrian to say that he's sorry that he wasn't able to make it tonight, but he'll catch us sometime soon. I think we're looking forward to having a chat with Theo sometime soon. And on Tuesday, it's due to be Kyle and Kev Little. So I'm gonna once again pop out and let Marty and George and Greg do their final questions for you, Gary, and say their fond farewells, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, cheers.
So, Scunthorpe at the end of the month, have you been on the phone to Jason Edwards or what?
Scunthorpe the end of the month. Aye.
Well, I'm guessing Ty's not going to be fit.
No,
the way you're speaking.
And I'll have to start thinking about that pretty soon. I've not even looked at to see who's riding that day. So I think Jason Edwards. It's no bad show.
Well, I mean, he had a good meeting for Redcar, and obviously had a good meeting last Saturday for Leicester.
He did.
A man in form and what have you, but like you say, it's all ifs and buts and maybes, isn't it?
Well, that is it. I think I'll have to start getting a plan in place, definitely. And I'll be honest, I was just enjoying a Saturday off yesterday. It was.
I think a lot of people were.
It was quite refreshing. So it's time to get busy again. I'll have to start getting on to Mildenhall for their team soon. Start answering all of George's questions soon.
Bellevue Way, Greg. You've had all these home meetings. Now you've been put to the test away. Starting at Bellevue.
Exactly. A week on Friday.
Yep.
Be good.
Need some away points.
That's it. We haven't had.
It's obviously very achievable.
Two.
I think we've only had Oxford away in Armadale, isn't it? Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah. That's all we've had.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that one.
Test, really, isn't it? Yep.
Greg, you need one of them FAF engines for Bellevue, don't you?
Yes, it certainly do. Because we're going to have to give it big licks there because we're really wanting to make put a point across there when we go there. We're going to try and sort them out. So we're looking forward to that.
I think it's pretty achievable.
Oh, it's doable. It's doable, all right.
I reckon you boys will do a fine job.
I think they're scared. I think most teams in the league have got a little bit of a scare when we turn up. I think they'll be going, "Oh shit, this is going to be hard work," because we're the best. So.
Aye, I think you boys have you've got a big job on Saturday. That'll be a tough meeting. You're riding on Friday as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm guesting for Mildenhall at Armadale on Friday, and then I'm riding against Mildenhall for the Bullets on Saturday. So, looking forward to that.
It's a love affair with Edinburgh all of a sudden.
Yeah, pulls it one up, George.
He does. He's got Willie Lawson's jacket.
That big post you done. Looking forward to going to Edinburgh for the last time ever.
Aye,
And
yeah.
This will be the second time you've been back since, or something.
Aye, it's a fact. As long as the van gets us there and back, I'll be quite happy.
Take Drew's.
I think you probably will.
One last time, Gary.
Go on.
14 riders. One name. Who's the biggest moaner at Berwick?
It's easy. It's Kyle.
It's not on the split screen.
It's a fact.
He's like Greg says, he's tripped over his lip all the time. You know, and to be fair, Ben Rathbone does a bit of moaning, but I just give him a cuddle, and he's fine. Can get him.
Is that what he needs? Is it?
Get him smiling. He's
Kyle, it's just shit. It's just shit. It's all the time. You know what he's like? He's like the new Scott Robson.
I can never tell you why it's like that. He just does shit.
Aye, it's shit.
But that's quite easy. That was.
No,
well, we'll let you get on. I just want to say a quick shout out to. There's a comment came up before about was it the Mutton crew that was saying wanting a shout out, and I've also got a shout out to a sponsor of mine, Graham Lloyd, who's going to the hospital on Thursday. So I hope that all goes well for him. And we'll all see you again on Tuesday when we've got the biggest moaner in Berwick, Kyle Bickley, and Coach Kev on coming on as well. So I hope you can all join us for that as well there. But thanks for coming on anyway, Gary, and we'll see you on Saturday night.
George, Gary,
Cool.
Thanks very much for joining us.
No worries.
And we'll see you again
sometime.
Nice one.
See you later, lads. Cheers.
Cheers.